What up, what up, what up? This is your boy X coming to you from PressPlayOnYourDestiny.com. And I just want to, first of all, I just want to say I appreciate everybody who's watching my videos. I know the channel just got started and I'm flooding it with videos, but I appreciate all the love that I'm getting. And I just want to talk to y'all briefly about something that I'm actually learning about today. Well, not today, I'm actually taking a class on it. And it's on astral projection, however you want to pronounce it, um, outer body experiences, and lucid dreaming. And I think this is a pretty interesting topic because I've always been into projection, astral projection, lucid dreaming, and outer body experiences, and that's probably the term we most likely call it, outer body experiences, because I think we've all experienced them before. I think something like deja vu, something that um, uh, we all have more often, or we can all relate to, is deja vu, which would be considered. Some people, they don't consider the deja vu an outer body experience, and there's a lot of different speculations behind what deja vu actually is. Some people say that deja vu is a glitch in the Matrix, which, if you're familiar with the Matrix movie, the Matrix is this real world that we live in, this three-dimensional world. This is considered the Matrix. And other people would say that deja vu is, on a scientific level, that deja vu is actually when the mind can't quite when a it's like the mind playing tricks on you, but on a level of spirituality, I don't believe your mind plays tricks on you. So back to this outer body experience and astral projection class. It's a deep class too, y'all. It's pretty deep. And what I've learned so far is that the more accepted views of astral projection comes from the occult teaching, which, if you guys remember, I taught you that the occult was just the actual term, the occult just meant hidden from view. And as I do more research on the occult, and I think I've been doing a lot of research on the occult for a while now. I mean, even getting into magic, alchemy, numerology, astrology. Um, once you get into these very specific fields of study, when it comes to spirituality, higher forms of consciousness, these are all like occult like teachings, esoteric forms of teaching. And to me, occult teachings are pretty much just like I want to call them specialized areas of life that we kind of overlook because if there's some type of mysticism associated with them, like magic, for instance. I think magic is one of the things that we look at it as one of the like fun things. You can go watch you a magician or go watch a magic show, but then there's people who actually practice the actual art of magic, sacred magic, and things like that, which I think is cool. So I said all that to say is, on the path of higher consciousness, you're gonna come into a lot of occult like teachings and esoteric ways of thinking. And I'll tell you this, sift through the knowledge. You won't agree with all esoteric and occult like teachings. But I think that the knowledge is there for you to draw your own conclusion and opinion about the different forms of knowledge out here. That's it. So back to this outer body experience, astral projection, and lucid dreaming class. So the class basically starts out by breaking down the moral views of lucid dreaming or astral projection, and they talk to you about astral projection from the occult type view. And when it comes to actual astral projecting, the when you talk about the specific term astral projecting, it is projecting um, your inner self to the astral plane. And so the occultists believe that um, there are seven different planes out there. These planes could be likened to like levels of consciousness, even up to like actual places, planes that you can travel. And all of these planes have a corresponding body that can get to these planes. So, for example, the very first plane that we have, of course, is the physical plane. Okay, and the physical plane, um, we uh, we experience the physical plane with our physical bodies. Okay, and one quick thing to note that I think is pretty interesting about the physical plane and the theory of our physical bodies is that they say that life in itself, the only way well, I'm going to ask you this question: how do you know that you are human? How do you know that you are a human being? And this is one of the questions that is posed when it comes to consciousness and spirituality. And so, the difference between the scientific view and the occult view of spirituality or consciousness is that scientists believe that our physical bodies is the cause of consciousness, that consciousness actually dwells on the inside of our physical body. And if we had no physical body or brain, that we couldn't experience consciousness. And conversely, the occult view of consciousness believes that our body is the reason we can experience things like spirituality and consciousness. That might have sounded confusing, so let me break it down again. One believed that consciousness is from the inside and out, and somebody believe in the other views that consciousness comes from the outside in. Okay, and that's the occult type view. They believe that we are actually forms of consciousness or spirits that inhabit a physical body. And I know you've heard the saying before that we're spirits. Are you a spirit having a human experience or a human having a spiritual experience? That's the whole premise when it comes to occult views and scientific views of consciousness in our existence. Okay, and so the occult believe that we are spirits or consciousness having a human experience, and it's through our senses of taste, touch, feeling, and smelling that makes us human. That's actually what makes us human is our ability to see to our five senses. I mean, we have more than five senses, but the basic five senses is what makes us human. The ability to hear, the ability to see, the ability to taste, and the ability to touch, for the most part. Uh, so back to the occult view of astral projection. Okay, all of these different planes. Okay, like I said, have a corresponding body that can go to these planes. I'm sorry, that's where I left off at. You have on the physical plane, which is the very lowest plane. This physical plane, we can inhabit this physical plane with our physical body. That's pretty straightforward. And then you also have these subplanes. Okay, so in essence, we have seven planes, but within these seven planes, we have subplanes within these planes. Okay, and the subplanes could be likened to an experience that you're having in any of the planes. So let's just say I'm on the first plane and I'm having a bad experience. Well, I'll be on the lower end of the first plane, whereas a more of a good experience would be higher up on the plane. So think about like polarity when it comes to the plane. So if you're having like a very good feeling when you're on one of these planes, then that means you're up on a higher subplane, and it gets even deeper where you could actually travel between these subplanes. Astral projection gets deep, and the theory behind the occult view behind planes in our bodies that inhabit these different planes. Okay. So then the next plane that we have, well, there's two planes in one. We have our physical body and our astral body, which our astral body is also considered our energy body. And our energy body, these are both on the physical plane though. The astral body and the physical body are like one. Like I told you in the video about chakras, your astral body is the complete replica of your physical body, except that it is the energy source of your physical body. It's what makes everything pump. It's what makes everything move. I know y'all have heard the theory that we are all made up of energy particles. And so that's where your etheric body would come in at. The other cool thing I found out in this class is that um the belief is that our physical bodies don't necessarily experience pain or our physical bodies are just like, let's just say, receptors. Okay, physical sensation comes from here. This is just kind of something that senses the outside world, but in essence, it's the etheric body that actually registers and reacts to pain. I think that that's pretty interesting because if you have you ever like hurt yourself and felt like a delayed pain reaction. It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, I just think the whole theory is kind of cool how our physical bodies, this is just kind of a shell, but everything else happens on the inside of us on all different types of levels. So just think that that's kind of cool. You know, how things like intellect, wisdom, understanding, overstanding, all of these different components that make up who we are. But you see a physical shell, and we tend to think that our natural selves is this shell, when in essence there's layers of different types of different bodies within inside of this one body that's responsible for so many of the different things that we experience in life. And I just think that the human body and the things that we experience is just very fascinating. So again, because I kind of deviate sometimes, but back to astral projection. So in these planes, you have the physical plane slash etheric plane. That's what I call it, because you have a physical and etheric body. So then the next plane is going to be your astral plane, okay? And when you astral project, this is the plane that you're going to. The cool thing about the astral plane is that your astral body goes to the astral plane. See what I mean? So the correlation between these planes and the bodies that go to the planes is, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. Whatever plane you got a corresponding body that goes to the same plane. So when you go to this astral plane, the astral plane is considered like the plane of like your emotions and your desires. Okay. And for anybody that's really getting heavy into meditation, you will get to the point to where you want to astral project or lucid dream. You may already have done these types of things already when your actual spirit man, some of us want to call it our spirit man, or our inner self, actually leaves our body and actually goes and travels. This is kind of some of the premise of things like quantum jumping, when we can actually go back and forth in between past lives and future lives, and we could actually search within to get answers. And it gets really deep. So basically, and the whole premise of astral projection, this astral plane is comprised of emotions and desires, like I said. And I'm happy I'm taking the class because I've probably astral projected like once or twice. I'm not a pro at it at all, but I'm just kind of giving y'all the information as I'm learning from the various sources in this class that I'm taking. And that astral projection, one of the reasons that they say it's important, because we can, some of us, we want to just jump into doing things. But I believe when you're on a spiritual walk and higher consciousness, you'll be faced with different things, entities. And I know this might sound like folklore or fantasy, but I am a true advocate, and I really believe that once you expand your conscious awareness to certain things, those things become real to you. If you don't know about them, then I don't think that they may be real. But I just believe that whatever you put your belief into or whatever you expose yourself to, it can become real through your exposure to it. So when you expose yourself to higher levels of consciousness, where you're at the point of trying to, let's just say, leave your physical body, you'll be approached by different beings. And I want to say that the very interesting thing about the astral plane is that when you travel to this plane, the things that you fear most, the thing about, and I'm gonna tell y'all something too, when it comes to spirituality and higher levels of consciousness, once you leave this body, it is fair game. No, it ain't fair game actually, because in this physical world, all of the thoughts and emotions, feelings, everything is stored within this shell that we have. But when you leave this body, all of the stuff on the inside actually manifests real on the outside. So every thought, feeling, emotion, desire could become a real thing. And so they tell you to become properly educated when you're traveling to these different planes because let's just say you have certain fears. Well, your fears could manifest in the form of monsters when you go to travel to these different planes. And if you're not um, educated and you don't know how to handle these things, which you got to understand, these things are just you. Everything that you're experiencing, all of the fears that you're actually experiencing when you travel to these different planes, they're all aspects of you. You're fighting yourself. That's why some people they use astral projection as forms of therapy so that they can actually learn to conquer themselves. And that's probably one of the deepest things you'll ever do in life is to overcome yourself, overcome your own opinions of yourself, your own thoughts of who you are, who you're not. That's the biggest thing you're going to have to do. So when you're learning to project, and different planes are responsible for different things, because once you get to the astral plane, the next plane is going to be the mental plane. Okay, and the mental plane is comprised of pretty much all of your thoughts and things like that. And think about if I mean if you could imagine some of your thoughts manifesting themselves as real things, they would probably scare the living hell out of you. I could imagine because I know some of my thoughts scare the hell out of me. So I know, you know, it would be kind of scary to travel to these planes. But when you get, I'm not by any means encouraging you to go to travel to a plane when you're not ready. By all means, when you're on the path will tell you when you're ready to travel. Okay, don't try to prematurely travel to different places because you may not physically get hurt, but you could become emotionally scarred. And I believe that an emotional scar lasts a lot longer than a physical scar because physical scars can heal. Emotional scars stay open for a long time, and it takes a lot to replace an emotional scar. So anyway, to get through these planes, you have a plane. So you have the physical plane, the astral plane, and then you have the mental plane. They say that the mental plane is a little harder to get to because it requires a lot more focus and thought. And as human beings, they say that we can only access what they call the four lower planes. Uh, but it is possible to reach the seven planes, but this is like deep spirituality. But they say as humans typically we can only get to, you know, the four planes, and the fourth plane is even very hard to get to, let alone the second plane. A lot of us can't even get out the physical plane, let alone get to the astral, mental, and the fourth plane, which is the Budai plane. And the Budai plane is responsible for like spirituality, creativity, wisdom, and things like that. So this is the very powerful plane slash level of consciousness because then you're getting into the source of things like creation, wisdom, and creativity. Now, once you go past the Budai plane and you get into the fifth, sixth, and seventh planes, the sixth plane, I can't even pronounce the names. I'm sorry. You can look them up. You can Google them. Just type in um the occult views on the seven planes or the seven planes of consciousness or whatever. You'll find some information on it. But once you get to the fifth, sixth, and seventh planes, all I know is this at this point that the seventh plane is called the Adi. ADI, which is the plane that God lives on or that God dwells on. That plane is God. So you could just imagine they say on these fifth, sixth, and seventh planes that things get very abstract, really weird, very hard. They say that these planes are beyond human comprehension. But a lot of things trickle through a lot of these different planes, and they trickle all the way down to the physical plane. Um, so you got things like intuition, and different things like that that come from very high planes, and they kind of just trickle down into these lower planes of consciousness, which our lowest plane would be the physical plane, the one that you see, the physical body that you have right here. Um, And also, what I do want to let you know before I let the video go, because this is just kind of a crash course. I'm teaching you guys what I'm learning too. And I think it's important because by all means, you could do your own research on a lot of this stuff that I'm talking to you about. But I think it's a good crash course for somebody who's on the path and maybe needs something new to study. Because I know that it can be tough. You know, when you're on the path of consciousness or spirituality, you're always trying to figure out what should you be learning next. You know, what move should you making next as far as your knowledge goes. And let me tell you this, when it comes to learning and gaining knowledge on the spiritual path, um, understand that what you need to know will come to you. You don't have to necessarily look too much. It'll come to you based on what you're ready to learn. And what you're ready to learn will be pretty much based on what you learned previously and your understanding of it. So knowledge is gonna just come to you. You don't have to worry about looking for it. But for the person that is kind of stuck, or if you're into your meditation and want to take it to the next level, if you're ready to um, start to learn how to face yourself, face your fears, and conquer yourself, and maybe travel to other planes and learn about your life, your past lives, and your future lives, then yeah, you want to get into astral projection. It's pretty cool. Like I said before, I had been into it, but I didn't have a lot of the theory behind it that I'm learning now, and it's a very deep and complex subject that can go real deep. But I just gave y'all a beginner's course on it. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. And until next time, you guys, press play on your destiny. Say yes to your vision, you guys. I love y'all. Subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. And remember, you can make it out here in this life. And hey, that's about it.